Welcome to Mum's Work and Chaos. I'm Louise, and this podcast is designed to help fill the gaps in your village. Each week, I sit down with a new guest. Think of it like two friends having a chat about something important. From toxic family dynamics and medical misogyny to embracing who our kids are and understanding neurodiversity, we're here to make sense of motherhood, one chaotic conversation at a time. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's dive into this chaos together. Hello and welcome to this episode of Mum's Work and Chaos with me, Louise. Today I'm joined by the wonderful Megan Archer-Fox, who you might know as that girl in debt. Well, debt can feel overwhelming, but if we look at it differently, what can happen? There's no shame or embarrassment in being in debt. I've been there and luckily I managed to get myself out of it, but with a little help from my husband. Megan is taking us along with her on her journey to becoming debt-free, and her posts on both TikTok and Instagram proved inspiring for many people. Welcome, Megan. It's great to have you on.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So please introduce yourself. Tell us a bit more about you and how you started on this amazing social media journey of getting yourself out of debt and bringing us all along for the journey as well.
Thanks for having me on this. It's really nice to come and be able to talk to you about my debt journey.
So you are on a mission, aren't you, to get yourself out of, what was it, 22,500?
Yes, £22,502 is the exact figure.
Oh, wow. £2, it really does make a difference, doesn't it? And how much have you managed to wipe off so far?
So now I'm down to, I did look just before, I think it's £12,820 left now. So I'm very nearly halfway. It's quite exciting.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. And that's since I started at the end of May last year, May 2024. So
that's amazing.
It's been quite a wild ride, yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I think people struggle to realise is your brand. Yes, it sounds like a lot, but it really can just creep up on you, can't it? Like I remember when I was at uni, got a credit card with my student bank account, and my mum was like, use it for like just like things and then pay it off in full. It will help you with your credit rating, blah blah. And I was like, right, okay. I use it for essentials? No, I used it for emergency tops for a Wednesday night out at the student union. The emergency Nando's that I actually really needed to have with my friends on a Thursday. and it does creep up on you, doesn't it? Like you suddenly realise that you're actually making like minimum payment and then paying interest on those payments as well. And you think unless you're educated about how credit cards work, it can be quite a shock, especially when you're like, 18-year-old kid who's been chucked out to go live in the world. It's quite a surprise, I think, as well.
Yeah, because mine started with a student overdraft, which is interest free, and I think it was about £1,200. Yeah, and when you're 18 and you're living out of home for the very first time in this brand new town, and I thought, oh, it's interest free, and it felt like future me's problem. Like I paid that off easily when I got work or something. I just didn't even think about it, and then when I did get work, it didn't quite happen like that. I didn't then pay it off, and then I ended up getting like, I think a credit card, or I think a loan came first. I'm not sure. And I was still so young. I felt like early 20s, and all I was thinking of was like you said, like going out and just sort of living in the moment. I wasn't thinking of future and planning, or I wasn't even thinking of buying a house or anything at that point. I just thought I just want to enjoy my life right now.
Crazy, isn't it? And then I managed to get myself out of debt. I basically ended up relinquishing all of my cards to my now husband. I just went, you're good at money. Oh. He did. Luckily, although my degree in marketing, he did his in accounting and business economics. So it meant that he was fairly good with money.
Nice.
Like me. He was able to help me actually get out of that. But I don't actually know what I would have done or how I would have worked out how to tackle it on my own. It's really crazy, like really crap with things like that. I've managed to, in the last probably 3 or 4 years, tackle not being in my overdraft and paying off my credit card in full every month, and things like that, and being a grown-up when it comes to money. I think that's the thing, really educating yourself. And I think following accounts like yours, others on Instagram as well, has helped me with that, working out how to put a little bit of money aside each month and things like that as well. One thing I started doing as well was if I use my debit card automatically it rounds it up and puts it into a savings pot. And like at the end of the month, if I've got any money left over just before my paycheck comes in, I'd put that into a savings pot as well. I found that quite helpful. So like if I had a monthly budget, I'd say, okay, I'd spend this much, and then I'd have like a couple of £100 left at the end maybe, and that could go into the savings pot. That was useful. But I'm actually quite fearful of committing to like the beginning of a month. I know that sounds really stupid, doesn't it? The idea of like putting money in an ISA or something at the beginning of the month and thinking, oh no, I can't get that back out again until...
I know what you mean. I've never been good at saving, and it's only these last few months that I've recently sort of, have like a £20 going away here and a £50 going away there, like little bits. And like I do that Monzo penny challenge we talked about, like tiny little things. But before I had no savings, or I'd save sort of in a weird way, like I just try and put bits away but with no plan for it. So it was really easy to just dip back in and take it back out for random stuff. And so I never remember really learning. You don't learn anything really about that, do you? About saving or
no.
So it's all that I've learned.
So when you're in school, like A levels or even like the end of GCSEs, actually learning about money. If you're choosing to then not go on to do A levels or go to uni or something, at least you have that in your back pocket when you go off to do your apprenticeship or when you go off to do your BTEC or whatever. At least you know how money works, how to save money, how to use credit cards and so on. I really think that should be a massive part of our education at school.
I would have loved that.
Useful.
Yeah. Even at uni or something, if someone had made like a mandatory session of freshers or something, you must just go to this, just quit, or like a free cake or something there somehow. And then they'd sit like this, all about like, careful of the overdraft, careful of the credit cards that could be thrown your way. It's such a common thing when you start uni and you're so young. And I was so naive when I was like, I was still basically a child. So
you are.
It makes me, because a lot of, you said earlier, there's a lot of shame and blame around people being in debt, but people, I don't think that it starts so much younger when you're in. How many mistakes have we all made when we're like, so
crazy, isn't it? The amount of shame associated with debt, and it's so easy to get into. Like the second time I really got into debt, it was credit card based, and I was using it to pay off pay for my petrol every month. And then I missed a payment, and next thing you know, on that, and it was like, oh, okay. And I was trying to play catch up again. And for this one thing that I needed, and I had to get to and from work, petrol for my car. It was absolutely crazy, like how easy it was to get back into that debt spiral again. So it's quite scary how easy it actually is, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Sort of things have you done so far to knock off, to get almost halfway through your that debt?
So when I started back in the end of May, I hadn't quite set up like my TikTok and Instagram accounts yet, documenting my journey. So I was starting like small. So we had a big nursery. We've got 2 young sons. We had a big nursery bill then. And so there was hardly any spare money to overpay the debt. I think I was trying to overpay by like a couple of hundred a month, but I was trying to put anything I could on it, try and help it go down. But then as I sort of got more and more into the journey, I started looking at ways to make extra money. So like selling items on Vinted or eBay, like around the house, seeing what I could sell, things I didn't use anymore or wear anymore. And then I started looking at little extra bits of side work. Like I took on a bit of work at one point, like one bits, looked into cashback sites. It was like the money I earned would be so small, but what I kept thinking was that it all adds up into like a little lump sum payment that then I could put it onto the debt and everything would help make it go down. And then obviously as my accounts grew, I felt like that was very, I want to say lucky, not lucky. As my accounts grew, I felt very grateful that opened more doors for me to make more money. So I had more opportunities then. And every penny I was then throwing at the debt. So it has gone a lot quicker than it would have if I hadn't set up the accounts. But very grateful for all of it, really.
So you actually also make money on the TikTok creator community as well, don't you? That helps, that you use them to pay off that debt as well, don't you?
Yes, awards program it's called. I haven't made very much in the past few months, but last year I had a really good month in September last year, so all that went on the debt, so that was good.
And all of those strategies that you just mentioned as well, you talk about on your Instagram and your TikTok as well, and share with others to help they help educate other people in how you can make a little bit of extra cash on the side and stuff like that as well. My sister-in-law is well known in our family as the coupon queen.
That's one, I think. Everyone in every family.
100%. She introduced me to things like Top Cashback and stuff like that as well. And I was shocked. We booked a holiday August but we did it in the February. And as a family of 5, an abroad holiday is a huge thing.
Yeah.
It was so expensive. We hadn't had a holiday in like years, and we were like, we're gonna splash out, we're gonna do it, we need this holiday. Because we booked it using Top Cashback, we actually got nearly £400 back in cash for booking our holiday. Top Cashback, which was brilliant.
Those are amazing deals, yeah.
It was fantastic to be able to get that. But I always check cashback when I'm ordering stuff, because if I get something through Argos or something and compare to like places before I buy, cashback rewards are usually better discount than if I was to buy from a different website that the item might actually be a bit cheaper. So it's always worth like shopping around and checking cashback sites, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. No, I do that a lot now. There's a few different sites, and 95% of the time I'll always look around unless I'm in a hurry. But I keep telling myself, like, still some old habits that are struggling to let go of. I haven't changed overnight. So sometimes when we get a takeaway, I'll buy it on Uber Eats, and I'll be like, oh, I could have checked for an Uber Eats, discount, but I think it's being hungry or something.
Oh, definitely. Hunger is the worst. That's why you shouldn't go food shopping when you're hungry.
No, I do all my food shopping online now. It's another.
Yeah.
I've got
Debt positivity. Very refreshing take on looking at debt, obviously. I was saying with all the shame and everything around that's usually associated with being in debt, looking at it in a more positive light, how that sort of thing mean to you?
It's just the fact that I spent so long feeling quite ashamed of my debt and not talking to anyone. I think I'd mentioned it maybe a little bit to my mum. My dad was a little bit aware, but not to the extent of how much I had. And then obviously my partner was aware. He had some debt too. So we were both in this sort of debt battle together, and we both felt upset about it. And it's just a horrible feeling, but we never felt like we could openly talk about it. So once I started openly talking about it, I decided, I'm going to get rid of this whole expectation that I need to be ashamed of it, or that, I think if we all spoke about it more, maybe we could all help each other more. And actually talking about it has led to some really amazing conversations, even in my real life, where people have come up to me in my real life and said, like people I already knew, and said, oh, I've got debt as well. And we've talked about it, but they'd never said that before. And it's so nice it felt so freeing for me, because now everyone in my whole, all my people, all my friends at work, my friends from school, like, all my family know I've got this amount of debt now. And at the start that was quite scary, but now it's just so freeing to know that I can just talk about it. And because like
having that secret out in the open, nowhere to hide anymore, isn't it? And by openly admitting it and sort of like, but not feeling that shame anymore, it allows people to then come to you and go, oh, you've got like, I don't know, 5-10 grand's worth of debt. How could what can I do to help clear it? I'm really worried it's going to get bigger. And people live with this worry and this anxiety around debt, don't they? But there's lots of ways that we can tackle it, and not just looking at like games and other things like that. Also by actually talking to the lenders and so on as well. I think that's the other things, is that fear that they'll say no. Well, but really, what's worse? Not going to go, oh no, and by the way, we're going to up your fees by this much.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? The worst that could really happen is they just say no. And I think if we all talk more about our debts and our money situation, then people can give each other ideas or examples of what they've done. Because I've learned, started paying off debt, I had no idea about what affordability complaints were, or if I could ever do one. I always thought that wasn't for me. But now I've learned about what they are, to lenders, if you think they've lent to you unaffordably. I've made a few of those complaints, and I've got advice and information from other people about that. And also like not to get too technical, but things like 0% balance transfers or 0% money transfers or consolidation loans, all talking about what works best for people. And there's so much good advice. I know you need to be careful where you look, but there's so much advice out there. And I think if we're all more open about it, then you don't have to be sort of worried and hiding away and feeling like you're just drowning on your own. you actually have a lot of support. And even if you don't want to tell people in your real life, there's, you can go online, and again, being careful where you look, there's a lot of really good support out there.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, be careful where you look. And that's part of the other reason why I started the podcast, was because I wanted to be able to present people with information that was reliable and stopped the doom scroll into fake news, fake health territory.
Yeah.
So what would you say is your main plan moving forward to help tackle the remaining the 12 grand we've got left? What are you going to do, like, working for you at the moment? What are you going to carry forward?
So personally, for me, I'm carrying on doing exactly what I'm doing. So I have been budgeting since I began. It took a few months to really get it right, and sometimes I still fail with my budget. Like January, I was very open about how I had an awful January, and I went like for budget and had to dip into my savings. And I was really nervous to post that, and but I'm really glad I did, because I got a really, really good response from people who are also a bit sort of after Christmas, and that's really good to be open about that sort of thing. But go forward, just still budgeting, like just budgeting all the time, even when I sort of found make extra money, because every little pound of extra money I can get on my debt. Just keeping going, even when some months I don't pay much, and then some months I do pay a lot. Like keeping going and knowing that my big goal, my big dream is to be debt free completely by the end of this year, and for my partner to be as well, because I want us to be like free as a family. That's our goal. Just striving for that, really.
That's the thing though, isn't it? I think of my struggle as well, really, like the budgeting side of things. And I think that's one of the other scary things, is actually looking at your account and seeing what is going out and whether you've paying for something you've forgotten about. I have a habit of signing up to free trials for stuff and then forgetting to cancel them. Other things like that. I'm trying really hard to get out of that. What do you go about setting your budget for a month? So, like, the biggest sort of tips around setting that budget?
Like I was starting, or like rolling? If I was start, so the biggest thing I say to people when I was that I sort of my head buried in the sand a little bit. Like I didn't. If you'd asked me, how much is your debt? Well, a lot of people who followed me from the start know this, that I started the account saying I was in £20,000 of debt, because that's what I thought. But when I added every single pound and penny, it added up to £22,500 and £22,502 of debt. So like, I hadn't even got the sum right, and so it made me really. So what I would, not that I'm an expert, but what I did was I sat down and I literally counted every pound and penny of debt I had and wrote it all down, so it was like in the face. And then with my budget, I just got up like a simple spreadsheet and I wrote down my monthly income, because that's normally always around the same.
Yeah.
And all my bills. And I went through all my account and made note of every single bill, like every tiny random thing I'd even might have forgotten about, and just wrote it all down. And I got my partner to do the same. So then we could work out, after adding all that up and the debt minimum payments we'd have to make, what we had left for like petrol, bit of fun, and then what we had left after that for any overpayments. And that really helped, because then we saw like in the face like how much we could live on, and that's what we started trying to do, just live on that. And then came make extra money on top to speed up the process. So that's been the biggest thing, because all through my life I've just been getting paid and then being like, oh, spend. Everyone jokes about spending all their pay slip in like the first few weeks. That was just me. And then then the credit cards would have to come out, because I just had no idea what I was doing. Still don't a little bit, but I'm trying.
Well, you've done well so far for someone who still doesn't know what they're doing. I think that's the thing though, isn't it? That is just life. Like, we're all wandering through it, not actually knowing what we're doing.
I think I'll still be like that when I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing.
I think most 80-year-olds wouldn't admit it, but they're probably doing that.
It gives me some comfort, actually.
I think that's one of the things as well, is like debt, and is kind of a bit like on a diet, isn't it? Like calorie deficit. You set your calorie budget for your deficit so you can pay back. I think that's like when it's like going on a diet, isn't it? Like, you don't want to restrict yourself too much.
Yeah,
you do need to have that fun.
You do.
If you say to yourself, right,
important.
I'm never having chocolate again, and in 3 days' time you've probably eaten an entire bar of Galaxy to yourself.
Exactly. I compare it to this. Yes, if you don't, like, so many people have not many. It's a small minority of people who'll take issue with the fact that I have a fun budget. But I think it's so important, because if I didn't have one, I think I would have failed dramatically already.
Oh,
because
yeah.
have fun budget. And we have quite a generous family fund budget to allow us to have days out or
Yeah.
the odd cheap meal out, sort of thing. Just
But
otherwise,
a family trip to the farm is so expensive, isn't it?
I know, yeah, we have to limit what we actually do. Like, we didn't all go to the zoo. That would be, but we do, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like do nice things, or maybe go to the cinema on a cheap day.
Because you're paying off your debt doesn't mean that you can't allow yourself that fun. And I think that's the thing, like you said, if you didn't have that fun budget, you'd have failed. And I think that's exactly the same as people who like the diet. If they don't allow themselves that those calories for a bit of chocolate, then they're going to fall off the wagon very easily. And I do young boys as well. You have to keep them busy, and getting out of the house is one of the easiest ways of doing it. Like, I have 3 young girls, and it's exactly the same for me. If we didn't get out the house, we'd go insane.
Yeah.
How do you find like events, holidays, and spending pressure around like big things like birthdays, Christmas, and so on? Do you set budgets, those sorts of things as well?
So one of the really good parts about being so open and having loads of people know that I'm in debt and trying to pay it off is that once they know, then there is less pressure. So you can say, oh, you can't make that night out because nearly payday and I haven't budgeted for that. It wasn't like planned or anything. So I can say things like that. Things like birthdays and events that I know are happening, like going to a wedding in a few months. I'm trying to sort of early for those sorts of things. I'm still struggling with this, if I'm honest, because sometimes I completely forget like a birthday is coming, and then like, oh no, I need to fit that in the budget. But I know I need to get better at that. But things like the wedding, for example, which is in April, getting a room because it's quite far away, and I'm trying to think of what we want to wear and not go overboard, but like sure we're planned, so have a little pot of money ready and sort of to account travel costs and that sort of thing. I'm getting better at that, because previously I would just get to it and then think, oh, okay, credit card. But no, trying to be better at that now.
Yeah, I think that's one of the other things as well, isn't it? Is like, I have everyone's birthdays in my diary on my calendar, kitchen. But yeah, remembering, like, I'll see it like the week before, and I'm like, I've got to buy a present, I've got to buy a card. But you're really like with your budget, and you're sitting down every month and looking at that spreadsheet and being like, okay, I need to include Frankie's birthday, make sure I've got her a card and a present, and this is my budget for that. Then you can sort of that in. But it's tricky. Do you look like month to month, or are you looking at your budget? Like what's the wider view?
At the moment, I do it month to month. Sit down at the start after payday, so at the end of every month, on the 25th, and I sort of assess what's coming that month. So what have we got coming? Whose birthday is it? Well, is there any big event? Do we need to put money aside for? Sort of thing. So I feel like I'm good at that now. However, I do think I need to do something like ahead. So maybe do like a quarterly review. That sounds very professional, but like a quarterly review, like coming in the next quarter. Also, I know a lot of people, never heard of the term sinking funds before I started this, but a lot of people have sinking funds. And like I like a Christmas one where I put all my Christmas money in. So Christmas is already sort of getting started to be prepared for, which is very organised for me. But I think I should do like a birthday one. A lot of people have a birthday sinking fund, so they dip into that for presents and cards for people. And I think that would be really useful, because that's one place I'm always falling down on.
So how does a sinking fund work? What's one of those?
So
I've never actually heard.
Oh, so from what I believe, it's just have little fun. So I use Monzo quite a lot, and I've got lots of pots in there. So those are where my sinking funds are. So I've got like a holiday pot, I've got a Christmas pot, I've got an emergency pot. But I know some people have like a clothes, so like Sundor pot, clothes sinking fund, sinking fund, sinking fund, and then they'll put little bits of money in like month, but for what's important to them. So some people might have a big pet sinking fund, but some people might have a big clothes one. But you've got a very few at the moment, because I don't want, my focus is debt. Not trying to build up a big bank of savings at the minute. I've just got emergencies and Christmas, but I do think I need birthdays.
No, that's really awesome. That's really cool. I've never heard of that term. I always see as well on like sort of like on Instagram and on TikTok as well, people with actual like little plastic wallets inside where they put actual real life money, guys. That paper stuff that's not so paper anymore. And it's really weird. Like, I can understand why people find it easier to like with it, like, because then it's real, isn't it? It's there, it's in front of you, it's cash. It's all just numbers in a computer, sort of like its realness. It becomes like flayed monopoly money, doesn't it? And so I can understand why people like certain amounts and then they use cash and filter it away like that. But then equally,
cash
part of me
stuffing, isn't
thinks,
it?
oh my God, like what happens if you get robbed?
I would just lose it. That's
It's
my
just
fear.
gone.
I would lose that binder somewhere in the house, never to be found again. That's what would happen to me. So I don't really do that because I know that it is really popular, cash stuffing. A lot of people do it, and I love watching the videos of people putting all their cash away because they're very
really
therapeutic.
satisfying.
Yeah, it is. But I just don't think, maybe I should give it a try. But I just, actually, I'm looking right now. I've got a little cash wallet, but I've never filled it. It's just empty. It's very sad.
I'm the type of person, I bought Christmas present for my eldest daughter, totally forgot that I bought it, lost it, found it. I was going to give it to her for her birthday, and now I can't find it again. Same with a birthday present for my sister. I bought it Christmas present. It arrived late because it was like a custom Etsy thing, and then I put it away. And now my mum's like, "You found the present for your sister yet?" I'm like, no, I need to track that thing down by Sunday, otherwise.
Oh no! Oh, good luck.
Yeah, for those people, I buy the things, I forget the things, and then I end up buying the things again, which is part of my problem. So I really need to like my life and find places to put stuff.
I think that's common. So I did that with birthday cards. Like I bought a birthday card for someone, then lost it. So we bought a new one, and then I found it again recently, and I was like, oh.
And it's always the ones with the actual age on it as well. And
Yeah,
then you don't know anyone who's going to be 3 again. You're just like, oh, dod it. When am I going to use that age 3 unicorn birthday card? Never. That's when. Get that thing up on Vinted. I'll pay 25p for it.
Yeah.
So the next thing on your list as well is having this huge declutter as well, isn't it? So you're doing a whole reorganisation of your home and everything as well. And you've just gone and hired a skip, which I think is very brave.
I'm on a mission to sort of stop at the debt. I'm like trying to better my whole life, I've decided, because I just spent such a long time sort of worrying and like away to myself, like my shoes, thinking, oh, it's okay, don't worry about being in debt, don't worry about the mess, it'll all be fine. But then I suppose it sort of dawned on me like it's going to be fine unless I do something about it. So I'm now trying to do a big declutter, and it's going well. There's like changes I can see, but I think we've still got a bit of a way. But yeah, the skip was just because I thought, like, I did get a few weird comments about people saying I should have just gone to the tip, but in my mind I weighed it up. Like, I've got 2 young kids, I work, and like I've got a small amount of time, I can do this. And I thought I've got so much to clear, and a lot of it's sort of garden stuff. So I was like, no, you know what? It's more convenient, less hassle. I'm just going to get a skip.
No, I think that's probably what we need to do as well. My husband's made a couple of visits recently, and there's still so much. I think hire a mini skip.
Yeah. You get some quite small price ones actually.
There's even like bags, aren't there? And it's just a giant bag for your driveway. Chuck stuff in, they come collect it, and they get rid of it for you. So
brilliant.
Definitely something I should be looking into. So would you say is small habit that anyone who's listening to us today is in debt and would like to start clearing it or take more control over their finances? What's one small habit they can put into place? Like,
I would 100% say the budget is the biggest thing that's transformed my life. Budgeting. Like, I didn't even start with anything big or fancy. And I know there's loads of like templates out there online, but all I did was just open up a Google sheet and started writing. Like, I started looking at my bank account, just writing down stuff. And then as I went on, I made it a bit more easier to look at so I could understand it more. It was as simple as that, really. I just don't think I would have got, because I've never budgeted before, and I don't think I definitely wouldn't have got here without keeping track, isn't it? And facing up to it and not ignoring it anymore. There's a lot of ignoring. I ignored it, or I explained it away in my head, or I thought, oh, it's okay. And actually, it's quite sad. I actually just resigned myself to the fact that I would be in debt for the rest of my life, and I just have to accept that, which is really quite depressing. But it's nice to now know that I've thought and decided that I actually can get out. And I think, the budgeting and just accepting that, just like, you're going to be in debt. That's what I mean. Sorry, I made it complicated. Budgeting and facing up to it are my 2 things.
I think that's the thing as well. I love that your tool that you swear by is a Google sheet. I think that's brilliant.
It be fancy.
Well, that's the thing. I see all these adverts for things like the Emma app and things like that, and helping you find you're paying for that you've forgotten about. But just opening your bank account, you're going to find those anyway.
Well, I think Yeah, I think different things work for different people because I've tried sort of methods like that before, like about money and stuff like reading, but a lot of things didn't stick with me until, and I think it's just not giving up after you've tried the first thing. Keep trying other things until you think, oh, this works. So, like, example, like the cash stuffing, like it doesn't work for me. Some people might be like, oh, that's really helped me learn how to save. So I think you've got to try a few different things, really.
I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? Like you said, not giving up after the first try. If something doesn't work for you, try a different tack. Because
Yeah.
very easily just go, oh, well, that didn't work. I'm not going to do that again.
I feel like we're very
I
similar.
was so bad. My daughter as well, just like if she gets herself really het up and worked up if she doesn't get something straight away, because she can visualize it in her head. She's already achieved this. She can already roller skate. But then the minute she puts those roller skates on, she falls on her ass. And she's like, I'm never doing this again. Like, I'm exactly the same as that. But the thing is, as well, you find like quite a visual learner as well. So like a YouTube video or something has really helped me in the past with learning certain things. So like how to edit a podcast. I use Canva a lot in my actual day job as well as other things as well. So actually like, you know, trade show stands in Canva and how to do that properly and make sure that it's actually printable and it won't be rubbish and fuzzy when it gets to the actual show that it's going to, and things like that. And so, you know, again, watching your videos and following your journey and reading about it in that bite-sized, easy to take in kind of, I've found that really useful personally. And I know that a lot of other people who are following you will say the same thing as well. So you are in debt. I would, and you're listening to this, I would 100% say over it. Most of us are. Nothing to be ashamed of. And like Megan's saying as well, just being open about it has led to more people accepting issue at hand, but equally about their own problems as well. So, you know, open and honest is definitely the way forward in a heck of a lot of situations, I think.
Yeah.
100%. Oh, honestly, I can't wait to see you achieve your goal, and I can't wait to see what comes next. And
I can't even
how
imagine
you help
it,
even more people.
I don't know what thing people have said to me. What shall I be called? I'm that girl in debt, but what shall I do after? I don't even know. I have to have a bit of a think about that. Might do like a poll, see what people vote for.
I'll definitely be voting, but I really see why you should change your name. Honestly, you were that girl in debt, but equally,
good point, actually.
Your content still remains. At the end of the day, you're that girl in debt who's managed to get out of it. And I think,
yeah,
you know,
nice way of looking at it, actually. Thanks.
But your content going forward could easily be about, you know, still offering hints and tips and ways around. And
I'd love to do that. Yeah, I'm gonna disappear as soon as it's paid. I'll be like, bye guys, I'm done. See ya. I'm gonna be hanging around as long as people want to still listen to debt stories. So.
Are there any other accounts on Instagram and TikTok that you've been following that have helped you in your journey as well? Are there any other accounts that you'd recommend for listeners to follow?
So some big ones. I really love Debt Camel on Instagram.
Yeah,
she's a former debt advisor, and she's just really good. And I've got a lot of help from her. And there's so many lovely finance accounts. I feel bad sort of singling any out, but Spender Official, her account. I really like her stuff. Budgeting Mama, I really like her as well. There's loads. I feel like there's lots I haven't mentioned. Oh, and also decluttering. A lot of inspiration and advice from Arrow of Downsize Upgrade. She actually lives in America, but she's just wonderful, and she inspired me so much with the decluttering. So yeah, I really love her. Many. Sorry, I won't mention any more because I feel like I just haven't mentioned. I could mention loads.
I think you've mentioned some of the best ones that I also follow. I love Debt Camel. I think she's brilliant. She's really helpful, and I think as you know, advisor as well. You know, information that is reliable.
Yeah,
you can follow. I think obviously the key takeaways from our discussion just now is that debt is not a life sentence. As we know, you're going to be hopefully clear of it within 2 years of starting your journey, not even that, under, which is amazing. Obviously shame is a mindset, because when you decided to stop feeling that shame, you made that decision and you haven't felt it since, which is amazing. Those consistent actions out. You've paid back nearly 10 grand already.
Can't believe it.
Nearly half. That's amazing. So listeners want to find you, where are they finding you?
So I'm on Instagram as that girl in debt underscores in between each.
Yes.
And then I'm on TikTok as just all one word, that girl in debt. So I'm just those two places. That's all I can handle at the moment with two young boys to run around after in my job. Can barely handle that.
Amazing. And if you do want to follow Megan, do make sure to look in the show notes. I'll link both the accounts as well properly, so that you can just click it and it will take you through. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been amazing to have you on, and
thank you.
Really inspiring conversation. So thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's really nice. Thanks.
Thanks so much for joining me on Mum's Work and Chaos. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It really helps us to reach other mums out there. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Mum's Work and Chaos Podcast for more updates, laughs, and support. Until next time, remember, we're all in this chaos together.